All right, guys, welcome back for part two. Micah is going to continue breaking down the Bible, decoding it with astrotheology. He's going to go over the signs again real quick for us. Micah, thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I thought it was an interesting topic that you should talk about. But let's just jump right into it because there's a lot. So the first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is, as you can see in this picture right here, it's the man with the water pitcher. So again, the key words are son of man, man, because this is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Baptism, because this is literally how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because there's a water pitcher in it. Fountain, because all the Greek fountains and their statues were built like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. These are water bodies. Aquarius is an air sign, but because there's water in the picture, it was used to encode all these water things that I was just sharing with you. And it's the same thing with Pisces too, because Pisces is a sign of the two fish in the water. So all the water examples still hold true. But whether you're talking about Aquarius or Pisces water, for Aquarius, it would be like the man drank out of the water pitcher. But for Pisces, it would be like, they dip their toe in the ocean or something. So there's two different kinds of water. You just have to figure out which one it is, and they will tell you. When you start to break these passages down like I do, they'll tell you what the patterns they make in the heavens, which one they meant to use. So Aries is the ram, and in Aries you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or there's three types of Passovers that happen in Aries. The first Passover is the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. In Judaism, the Passover is when the angel of death passes over all the houses in Egypt and anyone that doesn't have the lamb or the ram's blood, because remember, the Jews are the people of Aries. The ram, that's why they blow the ram's horn. That's why they paint the doorpost with the lamb's blood, because they're telling you they're the people of Aries. But anyway, and in Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's Son. So whenever you're talking about ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn, you're talking about Aries. Then Taurus is the bull, and it's as above, so below. When you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull on Earth so that you can plant the seed so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you're talking about bull, ox, calf, or cow being the female bull, you're talking about Taurus. Then Gemini is the twins, the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy, the story of Achilles. So that would be twins or brothers for Gemini. And Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. So what the sun does, guys, is if you can just put the video on me, just me for now, for a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, okay, guys. So check this out. Okay, this is what the sun does. This is the sun. On December 25th, it's going to rise a degree on its axis. On December 26th, it's going to rise an additional degree, and then an additional degree. So what this thing does is basically every single day, it's going to rise a degree on its axis every single day. It's going to get higher and higher. The sun is getting warmer, and the nights are getting shorter. When it hits June 21st, that's the summer solstice. What it's going to do is for 3 days after that, it's not going to rise another degree or drop a degree. It's not going to do that. What it does for 3 days, much like the crab that moves sideways, the sun is going to move sideways. It's going to stay at that exact same height. And then on June 25th, it's going to drop a degree. Now, every day, it's going to drop additional degrees, which means the nights are getting longer and the days are getting shorter. It's going to hit December 21st, the winter solstice, and it's going to walk sideways for 3 days again, which we'll get to when we get to Sagittarius. So it rises a degree every single day, stops at the height, walks sideways for 3 days, drops a degree, continues to drop a degree every single day, hits the low point, stops, walks sideways for 3 days, comes back to life December 25th. That is what this does every day. All right, so let me just go back to the presentation real quick.
There you go.
Is there any way that there you go. There you go. Thank you. Anyway, so that was the point of Cancer. And there's other things in Cancer too, guys. It's not just the crab or the beetle. Canis Major is there, so that's the dog. The beehive cluster is there, the group of stars, so that's the honey. Ursa Major, the great bear. There's a lot going on in Cancer, but I'll show you all this, guys, I promise. So Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you're talking about lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Then Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. Well, remember before when we said that you plant in Taurus? Well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, all these grainy things that are harvested in the Northern Hemisphere thousands of years ago when these books were written, in the Northern Hemisphere, things that are harvested during Virgo, you can look these up. They're still being harvested in the Northern Hemisphere during the same time season. In fact, now is harvest season. Right. Okay. So Libra is the justice. It's the scales. It's the balance. It's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. Libra is also olive oil season. That's when you press the olives to get the oil. So all law-related things like law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, wine, vineyard, wine press, olive oil, things of that nature, that's Libra. And the Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is the betrayer. When a scorpion attacks you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips, and it's why the mafia has the kiss of death. That's where they get that from. And it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, and it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It was considered dead. It's the dead of winter. It remains at that lowest level for 3 days, which is why Jesus was dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's son, it rises another degree and starts to make its way back up to the top. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, that's Sagittarius. And then finally you have the goat, which if you look at the zodiac wheel here, Capricorn's all the way at the bottom. If I were to put a little thing at the bottom here and start moving it to the left a degree a day, just like I told you the sun's pattern was, all the way to its height in Cancer, and then make the pathway down again, it starts to climb up in Capricorn. It starts to climb up the Great Mountain, as it's known. And just like the goats climb the mountain. So those are the 12 signs, guys. Do you guys have any questions based on it? It might be easier after hearing it the first time.
I have plenty of questions. I just don't know where to start. More just like, where do you think this all began? Like when, like, I'm trying to put this all together in my very uneducated brain on all this.
Uh-huh.
Like how long before the Bible was all this stuff, the astrology and all that, like, established?
Thousands and thousands of years.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the basics of it because I'm very ignorant to all this. I apologize. Rob, Dave, anything from you?
No, I mean, just learning about the signs. I'm not, this is all kind of new to me, and having you kind of make these connections with the Bible is just kind of crazy for me to process, because it's not something I'm familiar with as far as astrology. So yeah, having all these connections is just, like you said, it's a lot of information to take in. So I'm glad you're here for it.
Thank you. All right, so should I continue?
Yeah,
Yep.
let's get into it.
All right, so astrology is a language. If you understand this language, the sky speaks to you. That's Dan Rudyard. What is the point of all this? We take for granted that we have calendars, clocks, watches, weathermen. The ancients didn't have any of that. They had sundials. In the Bible, they worked on dream interpretations for harvest. They had to know things. They needed to know Taurus was when you put the plow on the bull and plant as above, so below. The Bible is an encoded farmer's almanac and was the knowledge of staying alive the most important thing. They would look at the stars and see all this movement and make stories up about them and pass them down to their children, then them to their children. Eventually, they learned how to write and wrote them down, and they evolved from Sumerian to Babylonian to Egyptian to Judaism in the Old Testament, then to the Christians in the New Testament. And I always say this quote to you guys too, but my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they took them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. And that's what I'm going to show. So when we start talking about Jesus disappearing at 12 and he comes back at 30, this has been a subject of great debate, but the answer is quite simple, actually. What happens to a young Jewish boy at the age of 12? He becomes bar mitzvahed. He becomes a man. Now, some Jews will sit there and say it's your 13th year. Well, true. Yeah, it is your 13th year. But if you were born, say, I don't know, December 25th, you might have still been 12 during your bar mitzvah. Anyway, so Jesus becomes what?
No, go for it. I was just talking.
So Jesus becomes a man and leaves to study. He starts his ministry at 30. But why? The ancient Jewish religion has roots in Saturnalia worship from before then. That's why their day of rest is the Saturday or the Saturn day. So why 30? Saturnalia worshippers said that you were not allowed to become a teacher until Saturn came back to the point it was at when you were born. It just so happens that Saturn takes 30 years to come back. Refer back to Ezekiel at age 30 seeing God. You guys have seen this picture, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys know what you're looking at here?
I don't know what the thing in the little creatures in the middle are.
Yeah. So I'm going to explain this to you. So this is Ezekiel's vision at God at 30. Number one, notice that God is actually in the sun because they worship the sun as the creative force, the energy. God was known as the sun. Jesus was known as the sun. Now, if you look all the way at these animals right here, let me zoom in on this. I hope this helps. Does this help?
Yep.
Yeah, you can see it better. Yeah, for sure. They're like little lions or something.
Those are the
so what's in
angels.
the front? What's in the front is a lion. What's on the left is a bull.
Ah, yes, okay. Yep, and then an eagle in the back, maybe, or what is that?
Eagle in the back, and then there is the sign of the man right here. Well, where do you know that from? Well, let's just go back to something real quick. Where do you know? Because we did that before. So we just saw that, right? Revelation 4:7. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. The first living creature was like a lion, Leo. The second was like an ox, Taurus. The third had a face like a man, Aquarius, the sign of the man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. In astrology, the scorpion is the belly-crawling creature. It's the lowest form of life on Earth. Its evolved form, also called the ascendant, is the eagle. So the eagle becomes Scorpio.
Oh.
So Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio are the four fixed signs of the zodiac. So what I'm showing you in Ezekiel and that four-headed animal next to him, and this right here, people think there's going to be a four-headed animal, but check this out. The lion and the man are opposing signs on the zodiac. The ox and the eagle, or Scorpio, those are opposing signs on the zodiac. So what it's really doing is either a four-headed animal is going to be coming in from the heavens just like this, or it's just simply making this pattern through the zodiac wheel. It makes an X. Okay, so which one did they know and which one was more realistic? But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you because we're still here, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're still here. So that's what's known as the tetramorph, guys. It's the four-headed animal. These are the fixed signs of the zodiac. Incidentally, you have three different types of signs. You have three types of signs in each. Okay, so there's 12 zodiac signs, and there is 4 seasons in the year. So there's 3 signs in each season. Okay, guys.
Mhm.
Your first sign in the season is the cardinal sign. That's why there's cardinals at church. That's the
Okay.
sign that brings you into it. If I were to take any of these zodiac signs, any of them, you can break them down into 3 10-day segments called the first, second, and third deacon. That's why there's deacons and cardinals in church. Okay? Because it's astrology, people. Now, while we were talking about this, we were talking about the four-headed animal. And there it is right there. It's known as the tetramorph, guys, whenever you see it. So the second sign in a season is the fixed sign because it's between the 2 other deacons, right? So it's fixed in the season. It's like the dead of the season. That's why it's called the fixed. For example, the lion is in the middle of summer, the man is winter, the bull is spring, and the eagle is fall.
Okay.
So this is a calendar. This is what it's telling you, this stuff. And then on the right here, you'll see the zodiac right here as it was intentioned and shown. Now check this out, guys. The sun tells the hour of the day, the moon tells the day of the month, and the zodiac tells the month of the year. Where we're located in the middle of nowhere in the Milky Way galaxy, guys, there's a perfect celestial calendar. And I'm not talking about the way that they screwed calendars up as history has been coming down, because thank God, no matter if they add another month or do this and that, like they did with Julius Caesar and Caesar Augustus with July and August.
I was just going to ask you that.
Right.
It's funny.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, though, is that the zodiac signs don't line up to the days of the month. So it doesn't matter what they ever do to that. These still have a fixed cycle. And the sign will still be there. If you look at it in 30 days, it will still be there. No matter what they do to our regular calendar, they can't get us away from this. But my simple point is this, is that, guys, what are the odds if you're talking about creationism, right? And I'm not talking about creationism from a religious perspective. I'm just saying is that if some dude was going to create you and then you weren't going to be able to interact with them until after your life here, don't you think that having a perfect celestial calendar would be one way to let people know that you were here?
I would say so.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right. See, this is where my faith comes from. My faith in God does not come from religious books. It comes from things that are just too perfect to explain.
Undeniable. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's how I see it from that perspective. I think that people who are religious are being fed the lowest form of spiritualism, and I think that the fear control based with. Now we'll get into it later, though. It's fine, but check this out. This is good. We know the biblical flood never occurred because there were great civilizations thriving during that time. They kept good records and neglected to mention that they were all wiped from the face of the earth. The Chinese Neolithic dynasty, the Egyptians dynasties 4, 5, and 6, Mesopotamians early dynastic period, Sumerians early dynastics 3A and 3B, Peruvians Notre Chico civilization, and more. We find a continuous line of culture, construction, art, and historical records that runs through the time Noah's flood was supposed to have actually happened. And can I tell you guys another funny story about Noah's Ark?
Please.
All right. So do you guys know who Ken Ham is?
I do not know.
You don't know who Ken Ham is? The guy that built the Ark in Kentucky?
Oh, that. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Dinosaurs on it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I
didn't know
drove down and moved to Florida, on my way there, I made a pit stop there. And I straight up went there. It is the size. It is built to perfection.
Oh,
as
wow.
far as how it was described in the Bible. $111 million. But guess what?
How much?
$111 million. But guess what?
Jeez.
This is an actual representation built as the Bible says, and it flooded. Now, here's the thing. Not only did it flood, but these people that built this thing tried to get their insurance money out of it. And the insurance company told them acts of God are not covered.
How ironic is that? Jesus. That's,
Right?
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I didn't realize the timeline matched up with all these other civilizations that were keeping records. This is definitely some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of, because what can you do with information, right? If you have good information out there and you're nefarious, the only thing you can do is to put out misinformation so that you can.
Right. Well, what they say, like the victors write the history.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Absolutely. All right, so let me continue here. So Moses goes to get the 10 Commandments, and when he comes down, he sees them worshiping a golden calf. What's more likely? The Jews got run out of Egypt. They couldn't even let the bread rise, which is why we have matzah to this day. They rushed to the desert with just the clothes on their back, but happened to carry enough gold between all of them, found welding equipment in the desert, and built a giant statue. Or the sun is the gold, and the calf is the bull, or Taurus. They were worshiping the sun in the age of Taurus, whereas Jews, who are the people of Aries. Anyway, so he breaks the commandments, he slams it down, which is where we get lawbreaker from, by the way, is because Moses slammed down the law and broke the law. So that's where that phrase comes from. Numbers 21, 4-9. The Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people so that many people of Israel died. So the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned because we have spoken against the Lord and you. Intercede with the Lord that he may remove the serpents from us. And Moses interceded for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it on a standard. And it shall come about that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, he will live. Do you guys know what you're talking about when you're talking about the serpent on the standard?
no, give us an explanation, please.
The rod of Asclepius, the caduceus, Kundalini yoga.
Tell us.
It's all the same symbol.
All the, yeah, well, yeah, it's the medical symbol, the
I was gonna
World
say
Health
this is in our
Organization.
insurance company symbol.
Yeah. Yeah, the caduceus is the medical company symbol now. So in 1367 BC, well before Moses, Akhenaten established monotheism under a sun god in Egypt. Abraham, as the story goes, started the one true God belief, but that is just not true at all. In fact, during this time period, there have been found plenty of fertility gods and goddesses dug up in the current times that the Jews have made. In fact, Moses is a character who is based on two Egyptians, Akhenaten, who is the basis of Moses, and Tuthmosis, where he gets his name, hence Moses. The Egyptians kept pristine, meticulous records about their history, even the things that were unflattering or painted them in a bad light. There is zero evidence in the Egyptian records of Exodus, of Moses, of the plagues, of the Red Sea parting. There is zero mention in the Bible of the pyramids or the Sphinx. You would think that some things would lap over, but they don't. That's just interesting to me. So check this out. This is what a lot of people argue against, but there's just no arguing against this. Simply and always has been described the path of the sun over the ecliptic as the sun dances its way around the 12 zodiacs. Mithra, born December 25th, the Immaculate Conception. He is the sun god and Messiah. 12 disciples accepted sins. Was killed, then resurrected, becoming God incarnate. Cult includes communion, baptism. Adonis, born December 25th, Greek god of fertility, aka Babylonian Tammuz, aka Syrian savior. He was killed and buried, resurrected 3 days later.
God.
Dionysus, born on December 25th as a result of the Immaculate Conception, Greek god of winemaking, aka Bacchus, aka savior and liberator of mankind, naturally with communion. Osiris, born in late December to a virgin, Egyptian sun and underworld god, aka judge of the dead, aka one of the Egyptian trinity, ruled over 12 kings, betrayed, killed, buried, risen after 3 days. Horus, born December 25th to Isis as a result of the Immaculate Conception from the spirit of Osiris. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? I explained to you why December 25th is the most important day. These are all solar deities. The story has always been the solar deity story. It's the sun as it dances its way through the 12 zodiac signs and encounters everything along the way. It's the Wizard of Oz. It's all the same story, guys. They're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you the same story, and that's probably their downfall, is because they don't realize. People don't realize this, you know. People don't realize this story. The zodiac story that I just told you, the 12 signs, that's the basis for all these stories. They're all telling the same exact story. And I made this a point one time. I said, look, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, so never mind. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to see all this because there was a movie that came out called Zeitgeist a while back, and he didn't go into as much detail as this, but he basically put on an intro level thing to what I teach, and it's been I basically took Zeitgeist and put it on steroids is what I did, and that's what this is basically going on right here. So
okay.
So check this out, guys. Chapter 125, Egyptian Book of the Dead. The declaration of innocence before the gods of the tribunal. O swallower of shades who came forth from Kernet, I have not slain people. That is, thou shalt not kill. O doubly evil one who came forth from the Brucerite gnome, I have not had intercourse with a married woman. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. O he who prospers the common people who came forth from Asiut, I have not cursed a god. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. 3 of the 10 commandments are mentioned in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, 1,000 years before the Bible ever came into play.
Damn.
Okay, I'm showing it to you right now. This is directly translated. Now, the rest of them can be found in something called the 42 Positive Affirmations of Mott. I'm not going to go into that right now, but you can literally, I'm showing you guys, this is the information. Like, there's so much information in books and knowledge and stuff that is actually there. Like, you could put the truth together yourself. It's just a matter of people don't know where to look sometimes. El Lazarus. What about Lazarus from the Bible? El Lazarus is Osiris, who Horus raised from the dead. The Greek name Lazarus equals Eliezer in Hebrew and means whom God helps. It's a strange coincidence, firstly, that the person whom Jesus resurrects happens to be named whom God helps. And secondly, that Eliezer, or breaking down its original components in Hebrew, El-Azar, closely resembles a combination of the Semitic word for God, El, with the Egyptian name for Osiris, Osir. El-Osir, Lazarus, Eliezer. It's the same thing. These are just repackaged stories, guys, and people have got people tripping to think that the Bible is original. The Bible is not original at all. If anything, that's what you should get out of this.
That's what I'm getting out of this. Is crazy.
Yeah, it's truly not original at all. But check this out. Now, this is going to be very helpful.
Well, what do you think happened, like, with like the translations? Not to get off topic, but like, you know how it's been translated by the King James version and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of that does make sense. What they're arguing, however, when it comes down to my thing that I've discovered, none of those words are up for debate.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. In the Hebrew Torah, the commandment is thou shalt not murder. But by the time it makes its way down to the King James Bible, it's thou shalt not kill. There's a big difference between murdering someone and killing someone. There's a big difference. So that's where people get their panties in a bunch on a high horse because of translations like that. But we're not having that with my thing.
Yeah.
All right, so check this out. The ancient Egyptians used to worship the sun in Taurus, hieroglyphs of the bull with the sun between its horns. You see that in the top left?
Mm-hmm.
You see those
Mhm.
everywhere because they're the age of Taurus. It's the sun with the bull. Everything that you guys hear about the red heifer in Israel,
Yeah.
okay, that's
that.
bull slaughter. That's bull worship. That's age of Taurus worship. That's incorrect. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that. That is a problem, what they're doing.
And what do you think their end game is by doing that? Do you see that same end game as most people, or
I think things are getting interesting. I'm just going to keep trying to expose what I found.
sure?
To be honest, that's basically what I'm going to do, and we'll see where it goes with that. I've been at it basically for like 4.5 years though. But so check
Cool.
this out. Ready? So the sun with the bull is the sun in Taurus. That's your golden calf. The Jews are the people of Aries. That's why they blow the ram's horn to the sky in the holidays. Now, the Christians are the people of Pisces. That's why they have the Jesus fish, as shown here, which is the Vesica Pisces. You see that? You see how you make the Jesus fish out of the two?
Yep.
Well, if I put those little fins on the top too, you got two fish in there. That's the Pisces. And also that little red thing right there. So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153, but even with so many, the net was not torn. In the middle, that red sliver right there, the mathematical equation for that is 265 over 153. So they were putting sacred mathematics into the books too. People just didn't know what they were reading.
God.
And look at this. One World Religion headquarters set to open next year. You see that? You know why? Because we're entering the age of Aquarius. Of course, there has to be a one world religion. There has to be a new one. There has to be a new one. And they'll fight trying to push it through. I'll tell you that much. But yeah,
I have been reading about this, and it is pretty scary.
Yeah. I mean, some people have heard it called Chrislam. Some people have heard it called, a bunch of different things, to be honest.
I forget the name I heard, but it was some odd name. Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you, I know we haven't finished your presentation yet, but so do you think this is all ushering towards like a new world order, and
yeah,
these are like prophecies being fulfilled by what, madmen, or do you think
think about it. Think about it like this. Like, did you see you saw my first presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we're up to this part in the presentation, we're about 100 slides in. What does it sound more like? Does it sound more like the Bible is a magical book and it's coming to life and you better fear revelation and all that? Or does it actually sound like, well, I'll make my case where I'll show you that, but the astrotheology has been through and through every ancient holy text, and I will show you that in this today. And that basically what's happening is the same people that have ruled us from the beginning in coding these books are still doing it to this day. And they're making events seem like it's fulfilling prophecy.
That's kind of what I agree with you on that.
It's Occam's razor, really. It's really simple when it comes to that, I think.
Well, thank you for answering that. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that.
Okay. All right. So let's continue. The Synod of Jamnia. So I ripped this from the Encyclopedia Britannica, guys. The Synod of Jamnia was a synod that took place in 100 AD. And what happened in 100 AD was that the Bible was not canonized yet. And when I say it wasn't canonized yet, I meant the order that the books were going in were not all set straight forth until this. What the Synod of Jamnia did was it brought a bunch of politicians and rabbis together, and they put the Bible together. The book of Job, I think, is the 16th book in the Bible, and it is by far the oldest book in the Bible. Lots of talks about Revelation being that old too, but they filled in a certain order. Genesis first, even though Genesis is a much younger book than the book of Job. So that's what they basically did. And this is in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, one of the things that they did during the Synod, guys, is this was at 100 AD. So around 70 AD, the Gospel of Mark had come out. The Gospel of Mark's the oldest gospel. It had come out, and they knew of this gospel. And they looked at it, and during this council, they decided whether or not to include it into the Old Testament. And they went against it. But for a brief moment, the Gospel of Mark could have been in the Old Testament. Everything could have been very different. Okay, so let's do this. Genesis 32:30. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Peniel is pineal.
The third eye.
That's bad. I mean, look at that.
And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. It's pineal. All right. What is the pineal gland, guys? The pineal gland is the eye of Horus. This is all they're doing. Whenever they show you, I do a thing on, I can't see you guys, but I do a thing on, what do you call it? On my channel about Illuminati hand symbols like this and like where they all come from. And I can tell you when they go like this, right? It's the eye of Horus. That's what they're showing you. They're showing you the eye of Horus. There's nothing bad about it.
That's what
People
I've taken it
think
for.
Illuminati one eye. This is just the eye of Horus.
And now, okay, so I guess not to get too much off topic, but I did see your video. But why do you think they do that? Is it a power thing, or is it just a nod to the other people that are worshiping the same thing?
The power in information. The more powerful the information, the less amount of people that know it. Okay, so
that's why they gatekeep everything.
Right. It's simple. The psychological implications of how these people act is very easy to follow. I don't know. I think that if we expose this stuff, it'll all come out. And if this all comes out, then the secrecy loses its power.
Right. I agree completely.
Right. But so let's talk about the pineal gland real quick. So in it, there are calcium carbonate crystals that change in pressure. It's called the piezoelectric effect. What that basically means is and incidentally, right here on the left is the eye of Horus. On the right, this is a sagittal cut of the human brain. And that's the eye right there. That's the pineal gland. And then that little eyebrow above it is the corpus callosum. That's what it's showing you in Egypt. That's what it's showing you here. And
wow.
I think that's undeniable,
Yeah, the calcium carbonate crystals change in pressure, piezoelectric effect. The piezoelectric effect, basically, if I were to take some of the vitreous fluid, because it has retinal tissue composed of photoreceptor cells and is filled with vitreous fluid, just like the eyes. It's wired to the visual cortex. In certain reptiles, it has a cornea and a lens. That's the pineal gland. And if I were to take the juice out of it, right, these crystals, these calcium carbonate crystals, you put them on a tray, you hit them with a hammer, colors would fly out of them.
Really?
Yeah, that's the piezoelectric effect. Yes. Now, the other thing, too, is that it releases DMT on 2 occasions in your life. Number 1 is when you're dreaming, the most common one. You can't dream without having a DMT experience. People that have had to have their pineal glands removed from their head, they talk about inability to dream. This is very related to it. We dream because of the DMT rush through our body. We hallucinate every night because of it. The other time it is released in life is as the body is shutting down for death. As your body is shutting down, DMT floods your mind. You start to see people from your past. You'll see Jesus. You'll see all this stuff. It helps you move on to the next plane of existence. And they've known this stuff, and I'll prove it to you right now. In many Buddhist traditions, 49 days is the total mourning period, with prayers conducted every 7 days across 7 weeks. The Buddhists believe that rebirth takes place within 49 days after death. Now, 49 days. The Jews have a 49-day time period. It's called Lag BaOmer. It's the counting of the Omer. It's a 49-day time period. They also have something called the Jubilee that also is 49 years though, but 49 nonetheless. The Catholics have what's known as I don't know. Pentecost, that's what it is. They have Pentecost, which is after Easter.
Yeah.
You guys, when is Easter, by the way? Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. Okay? That's how they do it.
More astrology.
Yep.
It's incredible.
So anyway, as you're dying, it releases it. So we're talking about 49. The Pentecost, that's when after you after Easter, where you get your confirmations, your communions, all that shit done. The Buddhist, 49 days is a total mourning period. Well, guess what? It just so happens that the pineal gland becomes visible on the 49th day of gestation in the body through a scan. This is when the soul comes in. Now, here's something even further than that. Do you know how they were trying to give you guys, like, they were trying to push in for a 6-week ban on abortion?
Yeah.
Why not 7? Why not 8? Why not 5? Why 6?
Sure.
This is why.
Yeah.
It's because on the 7th week, the soul is actually in the body and you're karmically responsible for that. But if it's up to 6 weeks, the soul's not in the body yet. The pineal gland's not there.
So do you think these people making these laws know that?
I think that they might not, but the people at the top do. Of course they do. Look at all the shit that I just figured out. You're telling me someone else out there doesn't know this?
Like, do you think Ron DeSantis knows that?
Ron DeSantis doesn't know shit. Politicians are some of the dumbest people on the planet, and it's because they are always watching their P's and Q's for what they have to say.
Sure.
And because they're always living the stereotypical, the dream life, right? We'll go to the military, and then I'll be a politician, and then I have no patience for that. They don't know this stuff. I mean, Thomas Massey probably maybe knows something.
Sure.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You
Yeah.
can
Maybe.
just-
We'll give him a maybe.
I don't know, guys. Just the older.
But yeah. No, it's the people above them that are kind of making these coded laws and rules, you would say, huh?
Yeah. So, guys, I want to explain to you the concept of hell right now.
All right, let's hear it.
Because this is hell. This is where, for whatever reason, all the bodies go to burn for an eternity in a lake of fire, right?
So they tell us.
So they tell us, right? Well, how do we detect pain? That's an open question, by the way.
I mean, I guess, if you pinch yourself, or, there's different ways. Is pain emotional? Is it physical?
Well, let's just start with the nervous system. Let's start with the nervous system.
Sure.
So you have the brain, the spinal cord, the nerve endings, and the neurons. So let me ask you a question. If this is how we sense hot, cold, pain, but when we die, we give up our body, how are we supposed to burn in a lake of fire if we can't feel anything?
Okay, good point. Good point.
Okay, I'm going to make the case that hell is actually useful, but it's actually winter. The idea of a fiery pit where you burn for all eternity is ridiculous when you think about it logically. Hell is actually winter on Earth. Why? It's cold. The vegetation and beautiful flowers and plants are dead. The trees shed their leaves and bear no fruit. It's freezing cold out. People tend to get sick more often. Dangerous animals, if they're not hibernating, are starving and scrounging for food. It's dangerous for humans. The Italian word for winter is inverno. If you flip a letter inferno and pervert its meaning, you get the concept of hell. This picture is Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy. Satan's in the bottom level of hell. As you can see, he is frozen up to his waist in a frozen tundra. because his wings are flapping so hard that it's freezing everything over. Much in the same way that, like, if you were to deal with a similar type situation, it would like when you make an igloo, you have the fire in the middle of the igloo, and what it does is it melts the ceiling, and then it refreezes over it, and then it melts and refreezes, and it ends up being like extraordinarily strong, just like this frozen tundra because of his wings. But Dante knew that hell was winter. The Bible even says it. There's always this gnashing and there's always this wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay. Well, when do you chatter your teeth? Is it in the cold or the heat?
Blame the cold.
See, they tell you this stuff. Satan and Lucifer. Satan does not exist. He's not a red devil with a tail and a pitchfork. In fact, the earliest paintings of him in the 900s, he was actually blue, hence where we get the Duke Blue Devils from. The Hebrew word for Satan is Hashatan, which literally translates to adversary. In proper context, two competing sports teams are Satans to one another. Lucifer, he is known as the light bringer. Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light." Well, how can there be light without the light bearer? Lucifer is immediately mentioned in the Bible, if not by name, but by action and purpose. Lucifer is also known as the morning star. The morning star is also known as the planet Venus. The reasoning is that if you go out and look at the sky just before sunrise of the east, you will see a bright light directly over it. That's Venus. It announces the arrival of God's only begotten Son, the light of the world. These are names given to the Son, right? To Jesus, right? This is the only begotten Son, the light of the world. Lucifer is also known to have a pentagram. That's his symbol. Continuing with Lucifer as Venus, if you follow the Earth and Venus's orbit around the sun in a year's time, they almost connect at 5 points. You connect that, you get the pentagram. This is what it looks like. They knew ancient solar calculations.
Jesus.
Damn.
Right? Funny enough, by the way, guys, Christians originally, the pentagram, Christians originally used that as a positive symbol. It wasn't Satan or Lucifer's. It was, they represented the 5 points of inflict on Jesus, the two wrists, the feet, the spear, and the crown of thorns.
Well, is that not the same for the Nazi symbol? Was also
I'm going to get to
swastika?
that. I'm going to explain to you what the swastika is very shortly.
So if Lucifer's Venus, that would make women the devil, essentially. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Continue. The silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So notice Eliphas Levi's name there. He was also the first person to invent the pentagram upside down. The goat head, the goat is Capricorn, and the sign of the man is Aquarius. These are connecting signs. The ancients knew that the divine was both masculine and feminine. Right brain feminine, left brain masculine. This is why Baphomet is a man with breasts, because it's not a transgender. It's the dualism that's trying to show you. Baphomet is not an evil creature. Baphomet even has the caduceus right at his crotch. They just think of it and they're like, oh, it's the goat of Mendes and all this shit, but it's not. That's not what this is.
This is interesting as hell. Wow.
Yeah. Baphomet is not. This is what I'm talking about, is that like let me just speak freely for a minute. Like, geez. When it comes to all the the Christian bro conspiracies, they're missing out on all this information. They think they're just going to, the left is evil, the left is evil, the left is evil, and just going to push them more towards religion. That's not the answer. You guys aren't getting the answers there. I'm trying to just teach everybody that this is not a book that what you see. This is the rudimentary phallic symbol, the original penis, so to speak. It's not the spear. It's known as the blade. So I have to change that. Hold on. So this is known as the blade. This is the rudimentary sign of the womb, the chalice, the feminine. This is the Star of David. It's the joining of the two. It's a hermaphrodite. That's what the Star of David is. There's more sex magic in the Bible than you think. Can you guys see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to laugh when you see this.
I just see a penis.
Yeah. This is Solomon's temple, guys.
Okay.
This is Solomon's temple as rebuilt by the instructions in the Bible. But let me show you this real quick. The porch is the base of the penis. This is Jacob and Boaz. These are the testicles. The holy place is the shaft. The holy
What?
is the head. And the ark right here is the little hole that allows it to come out. This is called sex magic, guys. This is what happens when you infuse building with sexual architecture, with sexual magic. If you look at it, there's only so many ways you can make it look more like a penis entering a vagina than this.
Don't you think they would have rounded it out?
Okay.
No, I don't think they would.
Well, I mean, that's debatable, right? I
I definitely see where you're coming from.
architectural wise, I mean, it's hard to say. But please go on.
All right.
Let's see, let's find an actual picture.
Solomon's temple from above. It's important to note that Solomon is not a name of a person. It's a combination of 3 words for the sun. Just like the sun is everything else. Sol, which is sun in Latin. Om, which is the sun, which is the light of the syllable Om as advised in the Upanishads. And On was the city of light in Heliopolis, Greece. Sol, Om, On. Anyway, On was the city of light in Heliopolis. This is why when you guys go into a room to get light or get enlightened, you have to turn the lights on still.
Okay.
Because that's where that comes from. Let me talk to you about Samson and Delilah real quick. Samson is Shimshon, which means little son, whereas the root of Delilah is Lila, which means night. The story of Delilah is that she cuts Samson's hair, which takes away his powers, and he ends up eyes gouged out and blind. However, this is just another story of the sun and how it goes away at night and people are blind. It's the eternal battle between the sun and night, or set from the Egyptians, which is why we have a sunset, by the way. There's a town in Israel called Megiddo, which a 3rd century church was found under another church. It's one of the oldest churches known to man. In the center of the floor is the mosaic of the 2 fish Pisces. This is from the 200s, by the way.
Okay.
The 200s. In a church. The mural. We even know who commissioned this piece. We have that in records. But in this church, I forget the guy's name. I can look it up, though. Oh. It's the 2 fish of Pisces. They knew Jesus was the solar deity of the age of Pisces. The zodiac surrounds the Stufetta del Bebbiena, the papal bath. So the Stufetta Bebbiena was built or worked on in, I think, 1516 AD. And the painter Raphael, the actual painter Raphael, put this all together. And there was zodiacs all around it. They were gods and goddesses drunk on paintings. It was wild, the things that they had on this. It was not what you think it would be in the Vatican. Or maybe So guys, check this out. Whenever they tell you that the United States was founded on a Christian nation, you can tell them it's not. Christianity is the most perverted system that ever shone on man. That's Thomas Jefferson. I found Christian dogma unintelligible. That's Benjamin Franklin. This would be the best of all possible worlds if there were no religion in it. John Adams. The Constitution is the guide which I will never abandon. George Washington. There's a couple more too. And on this day, will come the mystical generation of Jesus by the Supreme Being as his father in the womb of a virgin, will be classed with the fable of the generation of Minerva in the brain of Jupiter. Thomas Jefferson in a letter to John Adams. What influence, in fact, have Christian ecclesiastical establishments had on civil society? In many instances, they have been upholding the thrones of political tyranny. In no instance have they been sent as the guardians of the liberties of the people. James Madison. The purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe in blood for centuries. That's James Madison. And then the last one, guys. This was 250 years ago. The Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man called Christ in the place of the sun and pay him the adoration originally paid to the sun. So they knew this, guys, 250 years ago. Why do you think society forgot that? Why don't we know that again?
I mean, those are, if these are direct quotes from these people, it's pretty wild. Fucking A, bro. That's crazy. Go back to that one, that last slide.
Which one?
The one with the quotes. Yeah, these ones. Yeah, it's just like. So, what do you make of that, though? Because, if you live a life as a Christian, you're living life, as a good moral person, right?
You think you are?
What's immoral about it?
It's probably not immoral, but probably just like basing a lot of stuff just on lies or just fabrications.
Yeah, guys, I'm not anti anyone. I'm just telling the truth.
No, I'm just asking questions. That's all.
Yeah. All right, so I can get rid of this one. Were we talking about the swastika before?
Yeah, I brought it up because I actually went to a Catholic school when I was like kindergarten, and it was like a super old Catholic school, and they had these fucking swastikas like on the floor and stuff. We all used to be like, "Oh my God, look at that!" And the nuns would tell us, "Oh, that's not what it means." And I never really got a good explanation, to be honest.
Okay. Hopefully this works.
Yeah.
The swastika, if you read Wikipedia, for example, talks about its origins of ancient times, from ancient religions and its peaceful meaning. Again, tweak it a little and pervert the meaning, and you get the modern day peace. We will see that will never be reclaimed as a peaceful symbol. But it goes further than that. The swastika is in Buddhist, Hindu, Babylonian, Syrian, and Sumerian. It's actually astrology. This is the oldest swastika that we found. It's 17,000 years old, and it's from the Ukraine. Now, you want to know where this swastika comes from? The swastika is what happens when you take the Big Dipper and you rotate it around the North Star Polaris during the equinoxes and the solstices, and you get the swastika.
Huh. Okay. So why was this used as such a nefarious sign then?
Because they just tweak it and pervert it a little bit. That's all they do.
Mm-hmm. Just old symbols being recycled.
Yep.
Interesting.
Why do I see a GameCube coming up? Okay.
So this is what happens when you Google when Saturn was discovered. And if you Google it, it says 1610. First to gaze at Saturn through a telescope, to his surprise, he saw a pair of objects on either side of the planet. What about the ancient Saturnalia festivals that we know that the ancients used to celebrate? Why do they think that just telling us that 1610, when Galileo saw Saturn, is the first time anyone's ever saw Saturn, when it's the basis of the Jewish? Anyway, Right. So this is Saturn worship, guys. The little
God.
Jewish boy's head. That's Saturn worship. That's Saturn worship. This is all Saturn worship.
So
This
now,
one's
do you still interpret, like, in your mind, Saturn worship is like devil worship?
These people don't know what they're doing. These Muslims and these Jews with this cube, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But look, it's the black cube. The Sega
Mhm.
Saturn is literally a black cube. The Sega Saturn is the black cube.
Crazy.
This is, and you know what? It's the same thing with earrings and wedding rings too, because Saturn has rings. So women were told that they had to listen to their gods, so they had to get their ears pierced with rings because their god was Saturn. Same thing happened with wedding rings. Men had to pledge their fidelity in front of their god, so they would wear wedding rings. It's the same thing. All right, so let me show you something. When do you kill John F. Kennedy? November 22nd, the handover date from Scorpio to Sagittarius. Scorpio being the betrayer, he was betrayed and dies in Sagittarius because the sun dies on December 21st. Why is January 1st New Year's Day? Neil deGrasse Tyson has gone on record saying nothing special happens on January 1st to December 31st. He's wrong, and I've tried to call him out on it. Something interesting happens. It's our new year in the world because at midnight on December 31st, if you look up as high as you can in the sky, you'll see the Sirius is at its height. It doesn't get any higher than that. Then follow a line straight down to Earth. Then follow a line straight down to the sun. It's a perfect alignment. Otherwise, we should have New Year's in Aries on March 21st, when Passover and Easter happen, or September 21st, where the Jews have their New Year's, or the solstices. It symbolizes this straight line going down in alignment by the dropping of the ball in Times Square. I don't know if you knew that. That Sirius, Earth, Sun
Oh, okay.
is being mimicked by the dropping of the ball.
That makes sense now.
That's why they do it.
Huh.
Why do they always crash the stock market in Libra, guys? Panic of 1907, Teddy Roosevelt. Wall Street crash of 1929. That's a handover date to Scorpio, by the way, but still. Herbert Hoover. Black Monday, Ronald Reagan. Friday the 14th mini crash, George H.W. Bush. Stock market downturn of 2002, George W. Bush. 10% in most of the world's indices drop, George W. Bush. If you guys haven't noticed this, these are all in October. What are the chances that all the major stock market crashes happen in October?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why is that? Why are they doing it in Libra?
It's in Libra. Libra's the scales. It's the justice. It's the judgment. They're judging us.
Okay.
What they've done is they've taken this beautiful story and they've used it against us. And what I'm doing.
So what do you think? It's like the powers that be, the gods, like laying down, like taking money away from these people because they is that how you like kind of foresee it? Like
No, I actually foresee it. The other thing that I forgot to put here is that they always crash the markets when a Republican's in.
Okay.
So it's always in October and it's always a Republican.
Why is it always a Republican?
Yeah, why would you make?
Because they don't like them. If you take out John Kennedy, most of the other political assassination attempts were lefties on Republicans.
Yeah, I just always thought like somebody like Bush and the left were all just same wing of the bird, two wings of the same bird.
They are because then after they'll show you like Obama hugging George H.W. Bush. Like fuck.
Yeah.
It's
Him
all
and
they know this. It's all a game.
All right. Well, yeah, that's crazy. Abu
You
Dawood.
ready? Okay, can I ask you guys, would you be willing to admit at this point that I have demonstrated astrology in these holy texts?
Oh yeah.
You would stick by that.
At this point, yeah. For almost 2 hours and 100 and something slides in, yeah, you've definitely laid it out pretty good.
All right, let me show you.
It's going to be hard for me to argue,
Let me show
but
you this then.
somebody else might be able to.
Well, let me show you what I'm going up against. Roman Catholic Catechism 2116. All forms of divination are to be rejected. Recourse to Satan or demons, conjuring up the dead, or other practices falsely supposed to unveil the future. Consulting horoscopes, astrology, palm reading, interpretation of omens and lots, the phenomena of clairvoyance, and recourse to mediums, all conceal a desire for power over time, history, and in the last analysis, other human beings, as well as a wish to conciliate hidden powers. They contradict the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe God alone. Why do you think the Roman Church would have put in that astrology is evil and we shouldn't be looking at it if the book is completely filled with it?
Just to mislead you, basically.
Thank you.
To hide secrets that they don't want you to know, to make it seem like they're the originators of this text.
Okay, so now you guys are starting to see how big of a deal this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see the points you're making for sure. I could definitely see that. I could see where people would argue it, but I could definitely see where you're coming from 100%.
Check this out. The Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix is the story of Christ, the sun, a flaming form of life, that dies and raises from its ashes. That's the story of the Phoenix, by the way. Jesus was the sun who died for 3 days and came back to women's life. So the Phoenix is the story of Christ. The sun is the story of Christ. Hence the Phoenix Suns. But here, you have the Phoenix Mercury. Well, Mercury is the ruling planet of Virgo, the only woman sign, and the Phoenix Mercury are the women's WNBA team. So isn't that weird that they say? Do you guys remember the movie Face Off?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. 1990s movie Face Off starring Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Well, what are their characters' names? Nicolas Cage's character is Castor Troy, and his brother is Pollux Troy in the movie. Well, that's the name of Gemini, literally. I went over it with the signs with you guys. Well, what about Travolta? His name is Sean Archer. Who's the archer in the Zodiac? Sagittarius, the man on the horse. Sagittarius and Gemini are opposing signs. They build this into entertainment. They build it here. There's a ton of characters in Harry Potter's that are named after stars or constellations. You have Draco Malfoy, Pollux Black, Sirius Black, Andromeda Black, Regulus Black, Arcturus Black, Cassiopeia Black, Orion Black, Cygnus Black. These are all constellations.
Shit.
What about this? Algol is also known as the Demon Star, has a long history of evil attached to it. Algol. In Batman Begins, the evil character's name is literally Ra's al Ghul, who gets his name from Al Ghul or Al Ghul, the demonic character. It's all there, guys. They keep hiding it. Remember this song? Remember Zombie?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
1990s song video for Cranberry Zombie. Here's Dolores O'Riordan in painted gold, like the sun, and her head dressing represents the rays of the sun, much like Jesus in the crown of thorns. But is that it? So she's the sun, right? Look at her in the next scene, on the cross with the little Sagittarius ready to kill her. They build this astrotheological story into everything. Music videos, and this was a very famous music video too.
Damn.
Katy Perry's Dark Horse. This is the Eye of Horus, which you shouldn't be afraid of. It doesn't tell you to poke your eye out or anything. You got to know the originals. So check this out, guys. You guys have seen this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, this is Michelangelo. This is God Makes Adam. Right?
Okay.
Check this out. Look at where God is sitting at. You see that red encasing?
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of sort of look like a human brain?
Yeah.
Red and K, yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
can see that.
Brainstem
Yeah.
coming out the back.
Not only that, but if you look at where God is sitting, where he's actually sitting, that area is the pineal gland. And if you're looking at these angels in the brain, there's 12 of them, just like the 12 cranial nerves.
Damn.
Okay, so this is, again, they had to encode this stuff back then because they could get killed for sharing it. So this is God coming down through the pineal gland, through the mind, to give Adam. It's amazing stuff, right?
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
Okay, you see this one right here? Remember this one?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah,
The
from the Olympics. Yep.
Yeah, the one. You know the funny thing is about the Olympics thing? The Olympics thing made me laugh because it wasn't they said that it wasn't the Last Supper that they were showing off. They said it was the Great City Dionysia or whatever, the Feast of Dionysus.
Uh-huh.
The Feast of Dionysus was so perverted back in the day, so it really didn't help their case by saying that.
Give us some detail on that. Like what, like how so perverted?
Well, like, all right, so the Great City Dionysia, one of the first things I learned when I was in acting school, when I was a teenager, was that the Great City Dionysus was where the plays came from. The idea of putting on a theatrical performance, a play, came from there. It came from the stadium and everything. And so they would have plays, they would have dinners, they would have orgies during dinner. They had I don't know. They had all sorts of stuff going.
Yeah.
Hold on,
And that was their cover. Instead of just admitting to what they were doing, they tried to use that. That's funny.
Right. So for this one, is that better?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the guy all the way on the left is green. He's Aries. The guy all the way on the right is Pisces. They're broken up into seasons. You see 3, 3, 3, 3?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're broken up into seasons. So the first is spring, summer, fall, winter. So the green, that's the beginning of the year. That's Aries. Things start to get green. Things start to get lush out there during Aries. Before then, you have a little bit of snow. That's towards the winter. You have Gemini. He's telling you there's two of them with his hands up like this. You have Cancer pointing to Virgo right here. You see that? Right
Are
next
all
to
the
Jupiter.
images of this Last Supper like this, broken into threes, and I just never noticed it?
Yeah. These are seasons. This is what they're showing you.
I just mean every like picture and painting of the Last Supper that
Yeah.
I have seen in
I
my
just
life.
ripped this off the internet, man. You can search for hours. Go for it. But look at
Shit.
this. Gemini right here.
Doing it right
Leo
now.
right here. You see the woman to his left? That's Virgo, the woman. And you see the guy next to him? He's pointing at her throat, showing she doesn't have an Adam's apple. That's what he's trying to show you. This guy right here on the right, Libra, he has his hands out like the scales of justice. I mean, they can.
Wow, it is the same in every one. That's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, check this out.
I didn't even know there was women in this painting. I've been so blind and ignorant to all this.
Well, some people
So
will
thank
say
you.
Yeah. Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, I'm overlooking at another browser right now.
All right, so let me move on with this. You guys see what I'm showing here?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
You see what Mother Mary represents?
I do. The second picture definitely tells the story of that.
Mother Mary is Virgo, the Virgin, the holy vagina that was worshipped. In fact, I actually posted this 4 picture on Facebook a few months back, and I got banned from going lives or joining groups because they told me I posted porn.
God.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they're
I mean, the
bot.
second picture, I could see it. And that's the last picture, I guess.
I guess it looked, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you wanted to, I don't know. That's a stretch for me, but yeah.
Facebook, I mean, that's Facebook. They'll ban you for anything.
All right, so let's talk about this real quick. Homosexuality in the Bible. Everyone knows about Leviticus 18:22. However, is it really what is said there? The Greek word arsenokotai shows up in 2 different versions of the Bible in Greek, but was not translated to mean homosexual until 1946. In the 1800s, the German Bible said, "Man shall not lie with young boys as he does with a woman, for it is an abomination." Leviticus 18:22. Same with Leviticus 20:13, young boys. 1 Corinthians, the word arsenokotai, and it's important to mention that the Bible was written in Greek, right?
Uh-huh.
The Bible was written in Greek. Let me just change this real quick. Hold on. 1 Corinthians becomes boy molesters will not inherit the kingdom of God. If you were to grab Martin Luther's original German translation from 1534, they use the word Nabenschander. Naben is a boy, Schander is molester. The first time homosexual appears in a German translation is in 1983. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Who does it benefit to change from child molester to homosexual? Who does that benefit?
Child molesters?
There you go. There you go. Look, guys, the way I'm putting this is that, like, I mean, we're all on the same page here. We all know that, like, the media lies. We know that the papers are no good. We know all this. Why would religion be anything different?
True.
Right?
True.
So the idea is basically that the Greek word osenokotai was the word that was used, and it has been changed over time to say homosexual, which is infuriating considering that the Bible, King David and Jonathan were both homosexuals. He loved Jonathan more than women. 2 Samuel 1:26. They kissed each other and cried together. 1 Samuel 20:41. Jonathan took off his clothes in front of David. 1 Samuel 18:3-4. He kept David with him and did not allow him to go back to his father's house. 1 Samuel 18:2. I mean, we could talk about, they were gay in the Bible. We could talk about this guy, King James, who came out with a demonology book before he came out with the Bible. He actually commissioned William Tyndale to translate from Latin to English, which got him in a lot of trouble. This is his demonology book before it. King James, by the way, guys, was a homosexual. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I know King James is a bad motherfucker.
So check this out. 72 virgins. This is what they all do it for, the 72 virgins. There's a star called 70 Virginis, which borders Virgo. That's your 70. There's one virgin in Virgo. That's 71. Plus the virgin you marry on Earth, 72. These are the 72 virgins that they're getting in Islam. It's all astrology, but they think they're really going to deal with 72 virgins. Y'all want to deal with 72 virgins?
That sounds exhausting. Okay. So basically all these different religions, from your research and your opinion, is just twisting astrology into their stories to influence the masses.
I wouldn't say to influence the masses. I would say to hide its intention of pointing out and showing the heavens, expressing the heavens, explaining the heavens. They'll have a couple signs in a row or a couple signs across from one another or next to one another. They always make these patterns. It's always these patterns, and it's wild.
So why do you think they distorted so much to keep us divided, easier to conquer? I mean, what is your
easier to conquer. You got to remember, guys, is that what I'm about to show you with my 6,000 years right here, I'm going to show you how we've been completely played since the beginning.
All right, let's see it.
So the Epic of Gilgamesh. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters were offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. What's the bull of heaven, guys? I mean, really, it's may the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in their harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who messaged you with sweet-smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. So the bear is Ursa Major, the great bear, which is Gemini and Cancer. Let me get rid of this too. The leopard is Camelopardalis. Camelopardalis refers to a camel or a leopard. The giraffe used to be called the camel leopard. It is in Gemini. Mriga, or the deer, is located in Orion between Taurus and Gemini. Lion is Leo. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are Pisces, the water sign that signify the water. The bull of heaven is Taurus. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. The brewer and the fine brew is from barley, which is harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil from Libra. The mourning like their own brother is Gemini the brothers. So in this 6,000-year-old Sumerian tablet, it mentions 10 of the 12 signs. It just doesn't mention a goat, and it just doesn't mention Scorpio the scorpion, or the eagle, so to speak. But this is a 6,000-year-old thing. What are the chances that 10 of the 12 zodiac signs would be mentioned? Astrotheology and Enki and the World Order. Father Enki engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon who stands in Eridug. A grove of vines extending over the land, where stags are born, where wild goats are born, in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter their houses. The bull is Taurus, the dragon and its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is the deer, which is Mriga, which is in Orion, which is between Taurus and Gemini, and the goats are Capricorn. So we have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. That's 7 signs in a row. In a row. To open the 6,000-year-old tablet. Enki and Nirhasaja. In Dilmun, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off lambs, the dog had not yet been taught to make kids curl up, the pig had not learned yet that the grain was to be eaten. The raven is the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. These two are connecting signs. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. 3 signs in a row. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. The dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra, we have 4 signs in a row. The pig is a constellation called Porcus, which is in the southern sky, which disappears April 1st. So that was 3 Sumerian tablets. This is the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian. Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, a Mushusu dragon, a mad dog, and a scorpion man. Half man, half fish, and half man, half bull. The horned snake is Ophiuchus. A dragon is Draco. The mad dog is the dog star Sirius. Scorpion man is Scorpio Aquarius mix. Half man, half fish is Aquarius Pisces border, which blends the fish in the main sign. and the half man, half bull, which is half Aquarius, half Taurus. So what I've basically done, guys, is I did the Code of Hammurabi, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, then all the Gnostic texts, as you can see here. All the Gnostic texts, the Quran, the Book of Mormon. And yeah, I mean, if you guys want, I can go through all those examples, or I could just tell you it's all most of the same. They're all encoded the same way. They're all these texts are encoded the same way. It's all these ancient holy texts. They're all encaged the same way. And I think that number one, it needs to be exposed. But number two, I think this proves that it's more than likely that they are tailoring events to make it seem like prophecy is coming true. Because if they know what's coming next, you know what I mean? But we're poking holes. I mean, you can't deny these last two conversations, with all this information. I showed you that the church wants to keep astrology away. It's evil. This is why I can't talk to any of them. Because the second you bring up astrology, they look at you sideways. This is why astrology was feminized, by the way, Dave. This is why astrology was feminized. This is why, people think there's something wrong with you if you're a guy and you're running around talking about astrology. Either that or you're gay. That's really what the only two things are.
Right? Yeah, no, they did. They have kind of put that in a box for sure. Which is strange. Yeah, no, it's very strange. I mean, and the connections you made, I mean, that there are some undeniable connections. There's some that can be argued, I'm sure, obviously. But yeah, some of the connections you made are definitely undeniable. And the Bible, I mean, well, the Bible kind of says anything that's not the Bible is to be, steered away from, right?
Right.
Now, do the numbers in the Bible have anything to do with, because I saw what before you, some of your topics in these books include gematria, numerology, all that kind of stuff. Do those mean anything?
A light amount. My book series, guys, is mostly me teaching what I just taught in this PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Through a story arc. My books are 1984 meets Da Vinci Code.
Okay.
And that's cool. How you have to teach truth, guys. You have to. So I came up with this story, and then I basically explained how to fix our country while they're going around doing things.
And I assume each book interconnects?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
But do the numbers, like this, the readings and the verse numbers in the Bible have anything to do with anything, or it's just coincidence?
You gotta get one of those like GG guys on.
I'll leave that to Dave.
I'm not really a numbers guy. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, it's not that I don't think it's interesting, because I always find making connections to be extremely interesting.
Of course.
But I don't see it helping ahead of time. It's always like Robin Williams died. He was 54 years old and 54 degrees. And then they find all this stuff that they do, but it never predicts something ahead of time. That's why I'm saying, it's not really, at least with this, with what I'm showing, like I show you, okay, so if a Republican gets into office and, things aren't starting to look well, maybe by next October we'll have another crash. At least this predicts and shows patterns ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. What other patterns have you found, that you could share?
Well, I showed you the stuff with how it's ingrained into our culture, our sports, all that.
True. Yeah, those are all patterns. Yeah, you're right. Definitely. Yeah, man, super interesting work you've been doing. So is it continuous? Like, do you go through like how do you do your research? Do you go basically like every page and try to break down and match it up with astrology?
I have all the keywords in my head.
Okay.
So I just read it. I just speed read.
You just speed reading and if
I just
something
speed-
boom,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then I put it together later.
Interesting. So and you've been doing that for over 12 years?
I've been doing it for about 4.
Okay, 4 years. I don't know what
This
I got
particular
where I got
thing, yeah.
12 years from. I don't know
You're
where.
thinking of Chupacabra.
I am. I'm sorry. That was a whole different subject. Um,
Maybe you probably could put them together. UFOs
Yeah.
and astrology.
yeah.
Who knows?
So then what do you take the Bible as? Like a grain of salt, or is it a sacred book to you? Is it
It's a
I
very
mean,
deep.
is it more sacred than other texts like the Quran? What's it mean to you?
I don't really hold text sacred. I don't
Sure.
really hold
Okay.
them sacred. I find them interesting to see what I could find in them.
Do you find one more important than the other? It's through your research.
Um, no, I mean, if it was just the Bible, then maybe we could have that argument. Okay, maybe I'm off, maybe something this, but I found it in every ancient holy text.
Matches up with the astrology.
Yeah,
Interesting, man. It is something undeniable, and astrology. You said how predates the Bible by how many years?
oh, I would think 15,000 years.
Wow, that's pretty crazy to think. And for all those connections to be in there, I mean, obviously, when they were writing the Bible, then they knew about astrology.
Of course they did. See, this is the problem. People don't realize just how deep the Bible is. But if you're going to read it word for word, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
That's a good book. A good book will hide the information. However, the world is in peril because of this.
Do you still think there's like parables in there for people to learn and stuff, or is it all just
I think
encoded?
there's a lot of information you can learn from there too. Sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. No, there's some stuff that you've pointed out that's definitely undeniable, Micah. It's some pretty incredible stuff that you've decoded here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. I appreciate it. So,
Yeah, man. So where do you does this continued work now? Like, are you still going through the Bible today?
oh no, the Bible's done. I'm going through the Ethiopian Bible now.
The Ethiopian Bible. Okay. What's the Ethiopian Bible? I never even think I've heard of that.
It's the regular Bible with about 20 extra books.
Okay. Well, that's going to take you a long time, I imagine. And then do you foresee just adding that into your book series?
One day.
Very cool. Very cool. So any other message you want to give to people about what your whole presentation is? Like
I
what
would
do you
just tell you guys, if you want to go to debunkmywork.com, it has all my social media. It has a way to email me. It has all my videos. It has all my books.
and you see we're going on book 10 now, right?
Well, technically, yes. I did tell you 10 because I have a kid's book. So technically, I'm writing my 9th in the series, but I have a kid's book.
That's right. You did say that. It is about astrology, correct?
Yep, it's a kid's book. Yep.
So if you want to teach your kids about astrology, go pick up Micah's book. Is it available on Amazon and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
You just got to click on them. They're in order too.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, show it.
Micah.
Oh, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah,
What's up,
go
Rob?
ahead, Rob.
Just a question that popped into my head and wish it had earlier, but have you played the long game and done like a sky chart to see when the current zodiac might go out of alignment with Earth, since the Earth is in precession and the sun moves about a degree every 30 years, and the view of the sky changes. Like, they've gone back in time to see if the pyramids line up with the belt of Orion and stuff like that. Have you done that in the future to see if the zodiac signs become unrecognizable and when that might be?
No, they were known about 17,000 years. It hasn't. The only way that the zodiac has slightly changed in history was in Egypt. Leo was the Sphinx, and the crab was the scarab, as I've mentioned, the beetle.
I'm talking more about the star formations, because when we look at them, they're not actually next to each other. They're millions and millions of miles away from each other. They just look like a constellation. You know what I mean? So, as the Earth moves through space, our view of the stars also changes. So, do you think at some point the zodiac we see today will no longer be recognizable to future man?
I don't know. That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I think that it's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to figure it all out because it doesn't change that often. It's 1 degree every 72 years.
I guess the one thing that made me think was when you said the Babylonians added 10 instead of 12 or whatever. I thought maybe the two didn't make sense yet. But maybe that's just that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well,
Did you have
I'm gonna
anything you
have to
want
take
to add
off
to that?
because
Okay.
no, I just wanted to tell everyone to just go to debunkmywork.com and find me on X, find me on all social, find my YouTube, and that's about it.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for giving this presentation to us and educating us on this and kind of bringing some light to this. And maybe you got some people thinking, just deeper thinking. I think that's if you could take anything from this, if you don't agree with what he's saying, at least, go into deeper thought. That would be my suggestion.
Absolutely, man. No, that was really interesting. Maybe we should sometime soon. We should have a space. Maybe we'll get some questions.
Yeah, we could do a space and within the next week or so. And if you guys have any questions, please bring them. And I'm sure Micah would love to address them all.
Yeah, let's do that. Get back to me, guys, when you can do the space, okay?
All right.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Micah, thanks again. Go check out his work. Go support him. You can find him on X. Go to his website. And thanks a lot, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Take care.
Peace out.